Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Alex, and we need to have a talk about the Phoenix Suns. Ever since they have acquired Kevin Durant, many predicted the Suns to be the team to beat in the West, especially going into the playoffs where the Suns were 8-0 when KD was in the lineup. A starting lineup that consisted of Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Ayton was definitely something to look forward to, especially with an open Western Conference. But despite the upside of this team because of the names that were on it, many seemingly ignored the flaws of the team because of just how great the starting lineup looked on paper. We've now come to the playoffs, and although they did beat an injured LA Clippers team in 5 games, they find themselves down 0-2 against the Denver Nuggets, and their flaws as a team have been so apparent in both series, especially this Nuggets series. Things just aren't looking good for the Suns, and now that Chris Paul won't be back until probably game 5 or 6, depending on how quickly he comes back from his groin injury, the Suns' flaws will be exposed even more. So let's talk about these flaws that the Suns have had that people have just failed to realize until this point, and why they probably won't have a chance coming back against the Nuggets. Before we start though, if you do end up enjoying this video, make sure to like and sub. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so it'd mean a lot. Anyways, let's go. So the first thing that stuck out to me when the Suns first traded for KD was that their depth was going to be really limited, but the playoffs have made that even more clear. The Suns have virtually been forced to play Devin Booker and KD the entire game and play Ayton and CP3 heavy minutes as well, because if they have to sub in Damian Lee, Cameron Payne, or Landry Shamet, their offense and defense just falls off a cliff because they just haven't been hitting their shots and they aren't bringing anything else of average value in terms of like playmaking or defense. Granted, it may help if Monty Williams actually gave them more playing time, especially in the regular season, to build confidence and even chemistry throughout the entire team, but when you get into the playoffs, the margin of error is just small, and you can't wait for people to figure it out. Another problem that the Suns have been facing against the Nuggets is that they just aren't attacking Jokic like people thought they would, and how they really should be. The amount of times I had to hear the Suns would just spam pick and roll on Jokic to win games, and in theory that does sound like it will work. However, the Nuggets have just been doing a really good job and putting Jokic in positions where he wouldn't be exposed as much. Whenever Jokic gets put into a pick and roll, he has been hedging those screens and allowing one of his teammates to recover back to the ball handler, and once they do, he is able to go back to the roll man who was already contained by someone else on the weak side, and Jokic can live in the paint instead of on the perimeter. This sort of defense has really halted the Suns from getting good looks from 3, and this style of defense could have kind of been negated if the Suns had some more consistent rim pressure outside of Devin Booker, but because of how old CP3 is, he just hasn't been attacking the defenses as much as he would even 2 years ago when they were in the finals, and it's resulted in them having to force up a lot of mid-range shots. The Suns don't shoot a lot of threes anyway, they mainly shoot a lot of mid-range shots, so if the Nuggets are able to contain them from 3 and limit the easy looks around the basket, which they have been able to do up to this point, they will live with Chris Paul, Booker, KD, any of those guys taking tough mid-range shots. There's also been plenty of times where DeAndre Ayton is getting easy little mid-range push shots off a pick and pop, and again, I just think the Nuggets have been fine with those shots, and shout out to the Suns because they have been hitting them. This series so far has just felt like a huge math problem because the Suns are a solid mid-range shooting team, and they've done a pretty good job at making those shots throughout these first 2 games. But they don't make enough of those shots to even beat the Nuggets scoring due to the fact that the Nuggets just have been a better 3-point shooting team, and they have been far more aggressive towards the rim, which has resulted in more free throws. The Nuggets are shooting 35% from 3 compared to the Suns, who are shooting 24% from 3, and the Nuggets have shot 14 more free throws through these first 2 games than the Suns. It's just hard to win games in today's NBA with how great 3-point shooting is, and if you aren't at least being competitive in that area, it makes it a whole lot harder to win games. With CP3 out now for at least the next 2 games, the Suns will be forced to play a bench guy as a starter. It is not going to be pretty if Cam Payne has to come into the starting point guard position because his defense will be atrocious and his playmaking is just nowhere near the level of Chris Paul, even at his advanced age. So Kevin Durant and Booker are going to have to play and execute even better. At this point as well, the defense on the Suns side of things has just not been good either because nobody has been able to guard the Jokic and Murray duo, especially in game 1. I thought they did a better job in that game 2 with doubling Murray, even though both teams struggled scoring. But so far for the Suns, they might just have no other choice but to go all out offense. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more of TJ Warren and Terrence Ross minutes, especially now that CP3 is out. These guys have proven in their careers to be good scorers, so if you can't stop the Nuggets, you have to outscore them, so adding firepower off the bench should help, but at the end of the day, I still don't think it will be enough. Even though I saw these flaws of the Suns ever since they got Kevin Durant, I still thought that the series would be competitive, even though I still had the Nuggets winning in 7 games. But these last 2 games have just truly showed me that the Suns are a lot more beatable than I kind of expected, and I think we all expected. I don't want to completely just overreact and say that the Suns are now going to get swept or they're going to lose in 5 games. We just have to see what kind of adjustments they do end up making, especially now that Chris Paul is out, and they will be able to play games 3 and 4 at home, so who knows, they'll probably just even up the series 2-2, and me just bringing up all this stuff doesn't really matter. But how the series has gone so far is just nothing that I kind of expected, and it's got me kind of worried for the Suns. I have a feeling if this series kind of keeps going in this general direction of maybe, you know, the Suns are still keeping the game close, but ultimately it's just the flaws that keep hurting them at the end of the games. I have a feeling that there's going to be some agendas being pushed, at least by myself, definitely by other people as well. And these flaws will be pushed, especially if they continue to just do what they're doing and not try to make any sort of adjustments. That would be crazy if they continue this series doing the same stuff, because it just hasn't worked out. There needs to be something changed. Well, those are my thoughts on how this Suns Nuggets series has been going. Let me know down below what y'all think. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and sub. Check out my socials down below in the description. You can also check out this video somewhere on the screen where I tell you why the LA Clippers are an NBA purgatory. Anyways, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.